Hi, in this video I'm actually going to talk a bit about how you can decide or how to empower you when you are looking for a product to buy. For the longest time when we buy a product, we always look at the brand. We always look at the marketing, which artists are using it and all that. But I think as a consumer it's very important that for us to start looking at the ingredients. So in this video I'm going to explain or highlight some of the ingredient that you should completely avoid if you can. Okay, of course it's almost impossible to sometimes get a pure product, what we call as a pure natural product, but at least with some of the information that I'm going to brief here, you will be able to identify certain product that you can avoid. So a lot of people don't realize it. Every day you are exposed to so many chemicals in your body, and when I tell people that you're exposed to all the chemicals in your body, first thing come to mind is that people think and say, the thing that you eat, consume, something that you drink and all that. But a lot of people don't realize is that one of the most common infusion of bad chemicals inside your body is actually through your skin. Your skin is actually the biggest organ on your body, and anything that you apply on your skin actually will slowly seeps into your bloodstream. Consumers these days need to be more aware about the type of things that they put on their body. People have to be empowered when they buy personal care. I think gone are the days when you buy something, you just look at the front. You buy something, you look at which artists are using which product. People nowadays have to be much more discerning. So first rule of thumb, when you want to look at a product or you want to buy any product, never look at the front, never look at the brand, but look at the back. Look at the ingredients that you are using, that they use in the manufacturing of the product. You basically can't stop using chemicals. Chemicals are needed in all manufacturing. You need chemicals that are stabilizers, perfume, coloring, chemicals that basically give you the foams, when you use body wash or shampoo, because you can't use body wash and shampoo without the foam, because psychologically we think the foam would actually help things clean much better. So, but here what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to highlight certain common ingredient that you can look into. Certain common ingredient that you are able to find in most product in the market. And as a rule of thumb, these are the ingredients that we do not allow to be in remedy. Every single product that are here will go through a panel of experts that would go through every single ingredients that is used in the product. We would ask complete transparency to make sure that the product fulfill the criteria that we have set when it comes to product. Some of the common ingredients that you can see in the market, I'm just going to go through some of the more popular ones. Like, for example, is SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate or sodium ethyl lauryl sulfate, or any sulfates. This is very common in almost every surfactant system in the market, like whether it's shampoo, body wash, facial wash, even your toothpaste, anything that causes foam will usually have one type of surfactant. And the surfactant that you need to avoid as much as possible is the sulfates, either sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium ethyl lauryl sulfate, or what they call ALS, as long as there's a sulfate at the back, you have to try to avoid it. Fortunately now, you will have a lot of other alternatives, which is actually made from coconut, palm, soybean, and a lot of other plant-based, because surfactants or foaming agent exists even in plant. Okay, so the problem with sodium lauryl sulfate is that yes, it just gives that nice foaming kind of feel to when you use a product, but there have been a lot of studies that shows that it can result in certain problem there is a suspected carcinogen linked to kidney and liver damage, nervous system disruption, and also it is slowly being banned now. Some of the sulfates, not all of the sulfates, slowly being banned in certain countries in Europe, Central America, even in the Middle East. Unfortunately, in Malaysia, we're still allowed to use almost all the sulfates. So a study done in, if I'm not mistaken, in the US that shows that SLS, or the sodium lauryl sulfate, is systemic. It can actually penetrate and remain in the eye, brain, heart, liver, and etc. And it also have very harmful potential for long-term usage. And also, not to mention, most sulfate are actually petroleum-based, and it is completely not biodegradable. So, like for example, if you use a typical body wash or shampoo, you realize that after you use it for a long time, you will have a certain sludge on your floor. It's like this very thickening gel. That is basically the sulfate, because the sulfate does not break when it's introduced to water. So it goes into the water system, and it can cause a lot of damage to the thing that you drink, the water system and all that. So the best option, the best thing you need to do is to make sure that the surfactant system are not sulfate based, or at least not petroleum based sulfate. So Google it up. There's a lot of new options now in the market. Another ingredient that you should look out for is this ingredient called propylene glycol. Another very, very common ingredient, or the glycols. Propylene glycol basically is also used in antifreeze. The thing that you put in your car if you're in cold country and all that. The beauty about propylene glycol is that it is very common as a humectant. That means when you apply it on the skin, it maintains the moisture on the skin. But at the same time, propylene glycol is very, very commonly used in when you do plant extract or herbal extract or fruit extract or anything natural extract. You want to have a carrier, and for the longest time, propylene glycol have been used as a carrier for the extract, because they have this ability to maintain the stability of the extract. It doesn't go bad, it lasts much longer, better shelf life and all that. And unfortunately, it's also used in brake and hydraulic fluid, so you're using the same ingredient and you're applying it on your face. Propylene glycol is known to be a strong skin irritant. There have been a few warnings on the use of propylene glycol, because it is also systemic and it can also cause liver abnormalities and kidney damage. So there have been studies that show that link propylene glycol to possible brain, liver and kidney and respiratory and throat irritation, and also central nervous system at the same time. So look for ingredients that have glycerin instead of propylene glycol. Glycerin is a much safer alternative, and glycerin usually are made of plant-based. It can be from coconut glycerin. It can actually be from palm oil glycerin and all that. It works almost the same way, and it is actually a much safer alternative compared to propylene glycol. It is very common in a lot of deodorants, body lotion, body wash, hair conditioner, hair gel, cream, hand wipes, and even lipstick. So check out propylene glycol. And I think certain countries already started banning propylene glycol also. So the other thing that as a product which you really cannot avoid is actually preservative. Because people expect when they buy a product, and from the first day that they buy it, it must be at least be able to last on their shelf once open for at least minimum of 6 months or 1 year, or if it's unopened for at least nothing less than 2 years. So it is almost impossible to do a personal care or body wash or shampoo without the use of preservative. Because especially if it's in cream form, cream tend to be much richer, and you can easily see growth of mold and fungal into the cream, and when that happens, you just throw it away. So for big companies or big brand, they tend to use a lot of chemical preservative, because the reason is just economics, right? Imagine if you're a big brand, and every time you produce, you're talking about you're doing easily 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 or 1 million bottles to distribute all over the world. And just suddenly one consumer found that the product smells funny, or the product have mold in it, and then suddenly they realize that, wow, okay, this product is contaminated. So we have to pull it out, this 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 from the shelf all over the world. So just the cost of to take back this product and the damage to the brand is astronomical. So what they do is that they just use very strong preservative to make sure that this doesn't happen. Some of the most common preservative that's used and is still commonly used in the market is actually the parabens. You will see this a lot, and of course there are a lot of people say, oh, paraben is safe, but on our side here in Remedy store, we make sure none of our products have paraben, and that can be from methyl paraben, ethyl paraben, propyl paraben, butyl paraben, or any type of paraben. It is a fantastic preservative, but it also has been shown to be a hormonal disruptor, especially for women. It has an estrogenic effect. It mimics natural estrogen that can lead to cancer. Of course, the study is still pending, and but the way we look at it, the best way is actually to just completely avoid it if you can. And the beauty about, because there is so much demand right now for alternative, because whether paraben is safe or not, the market have decided that they do not want to have any paraben in their product. So what happened is that now a lot of the researchers have started looking at alternative preservative. There are good semi-natural or even fully synthetic preservative. They are much safer than paraben, but like for us, we make sure that as much as possible all our preservative of all the product in the shop is completely either belong to the safer kind of preservative or the natural preservative. Some of the product that we carry use preservative that's a combination of different essential oils, or even certain extract, or even the use of minerals as preservative. So we try to find as much alternative as possible, not to use paraben. In fact, actually, I don't think we have any product with parabens in the shop. Certain type of parabens are completely banned in Japan, in Sweden, and I think at the moment, I'm not sure what's the latest status, but it's actually under review in certain country in Europe also. Another ingredient that's extremely popular is called mineral oil. Mineral oil have many versions of name. Basically, it's the same thing. Mineral oil is basically very purified version of petroleum oil. So it's made in such a way that it becomes so fine that it becomes this very light kind of mineral oil that's extremely stable. So you will see different name when they want to put on the packaging. They can call it paraffin oil or paraffin or oil of paraffinum or paraffinum liquidum. It just sounds so glamorous, but basically it's all exactly the same thing. So it's a byproduct of crude oil. And mineral oil is used in many industries, especially in cosmetics. You can see some baby oil, some very popular baby oil is pure mineral oil, because mineral oil have this amazing sensory feel to it. As in, like, when you apply, it doesn't stick. It's not sticky. Natural oil tend to be a bit sticky, a bit heavy. Mineral oil will give you that nice glide on your skin, and some people love it. Can you imagine putting petroleum oil on your infant? Actually, that's what a lot of people are doing. And this is something that I think a lot of people have to relook at their modality of doing. You can use different things. You can use things like coconut oil, very light coconut oil, very light virgin oil. You just use a bit only instead of using mineral oil. So mineral oil coat the skin, and it actually impedes the breathing of the skin, and it can also cause toxin and waste to accumulate, because your body are not able to breathe properly, and it can cause a lot of other problems like acne, skin irritation, rashes, and all that. So there's so many alternatives against mineral oil right now. And mineral oil is not only you don't even have to really look at the pure oil, you also have to look at ingredient. A lot of the creams use mineral oil, and the reason why they use mineral oil is that it can extend the shelf life of the cream for many times comparative to plant oil. Plant oils, because it's made from plant, tend to oxidize. Nature oxidize, you basically not something that you can actually stop. It is the way it is. Anything that is organic would slowly breaks. But when it comes to petroleum or petroleum byproduct, it stays forever. If you have a mineral oil that your grandparent used, I can assure you until now it is still in a good condition because it doesn't break, it doesn't degrade, you know. So and that is not something that you want on your body. So you have to think about it. Yes, the product is more stable, but would you want something that your body are not able to absorb, and the more you use, the more it accumulates? So you have to rethink about the way how you use personal care. Okay, this one is a big one, formaldehyde. Remember when you were in school, and you know, especially when you started biology, in your biology lab you will have all this dead animal in this big jar with this brown colored liquid, and you know, and this animal basically been inside this jar with this horrible smelling liquid, this chemical smelling liquid. You know, it's been there for years, and you can see, you know, this animal, this dead animal is still in perfect condition, and those are what we call formaldehyde. You know, over the years, formaldehyde have changed its name because it is one very essential ingredient in a lot of cosmetics or personal care that have a lot of natural organic ingredient inside it. For example, if you have a cream, they have a lot of essential oil, a lot of herbal plants and all that. By virtue of all these essential oil, herbal plants and all that, they will break. As in, like, over the years, the color, the smell would change. Essential oils always change. The plant extract color would change. It's time to deteriorate because it is normal. It is what it is, as I said earlier, you know, because like anything organic will break down. Anything organic would actually biodegrade. So that's where formaldehyde come about. And of course, there are different names for it. There are some scientific name like quaternium-15, DDMD, hydantoin, MDM, hydantoin, methanol, or formalin. These are different names when it comes to formaldehyde. So formaldehyde is a fantastic stabilizer. That means that if you have certain product with formalin or formaldehyde inside, especially if it's a natural based kind of natural organic ingredient, a lot of natural organic ingredient inside, what happens is that it makes sure that the product stays stable. That means the color don't change, the smell don't change, you know, the texture don't change. But formaldehyde is nasty. I remember, I don't know whether you remember, occasionally we hear a story that fish that come from, you know, our northern borders, even after 2-3 days in the outside, it doesn't go bad, you know, because by right, fish easily turn bad. But there have been cases where fish would, even if somebody left it outside, after 24 hours, the fish still feel and look fresh. It's basically because they spray formaldehyde on this fish. So it preserves the tissue. The tissue doesn't go bad. So formaldehyde is nasty. It's a known carcinogenic. There's no question about it. It can cause a lot of allergic reaction, contact dermatitis, headaches. It irritates your mucous membrane. It's damaging to the eyes, and it's linked to joint and chest pain, headache, fatigue, dizziness, and immune dysfunction. It is just a horrible ingredient. So if there's any ingredient that you have to avoid completely, there's no option about it. You have to stop using anything that have formaldehyde about it. Google it. There are many ways on how they can actually describe formaldehyde, because you can't, it's very hard to just put the word formaldehyde there because people are more aware about it. So it is also used a lot in disinfectant, germicide, fungicide, and also the reason why a lot of people tend to use it, other than extension of shelf life, is also very cheap and is extremely stable in water. All right, formaldehyde is basically banned literally most of the country in the world, but they have always come up with a different version of it. But at the end of the day, it's still about the same thing. So it's completely banned in Europe, and I think more and more countries are taking action to make sure that this product is banned completely. And I think as consumer, you have to be aware and make sure that this product does not touch your skin at all. All right, this one might be a bit controversial, but it's actually perfume. You know, I think as consumers, we are obsessed with smell. We want everything that we use have to have a nice, wonderful smell to it. But the problem is that a lot of us don't realize that a lot of the smell in the product that you have are synthetically sourced. As a rule of thumb, anything that is usually more fruity like apples, strawberries and all that, I can assure you it is mostly perfume, because there's no such thing as apple essential oil. Even sometimes things that are more natural, like I know I can get coconut perfume, something that smells very much like coconut but is in perfume form. Or something that's really popular is the smell of aqua, the smell of the sea. There's no such thing as the smell of the sea, except for the smell of salt and brine. But this is something that's extremely popular, and it's all synthetic, it's all perfume. When it comes to perfume, there have been studies pro and against it, but generally on our side, we try to avoid any product that use synthetic perfume inside, because we believe a lot of the perfume use a lot of chemicals, and these chemicals have been associated with hormone disruption and also allergy reaction. Essential oil is a completely different thing. Of course, I can't say essential oil is completely safe, because essential oil is a pure concentrate, so you have to be very careful with the strength of essential oil that you use. The problem with essential oil, why a lot of big brands do not want to use it, because essential oil is extremely unstable, and also it breaks, it oxidizes. So if you can have a body cream that smell one way, and 6 months down the line, the smell would change. So for me, as a rule of thumb, if I buy a product and the smell change, as long as it doesn't change bad, I will have more trust on that product compared to a product that smell one on day one when I bought it, and 1 or 2 years after that the smell is still the same. I would not use it, because it is not natural for it to not oxidize. So why is the product doesn't change at all? So you must have used very strong preservative, you must have used perfume, you must have used very strong stabilizers, chemical stabilizers, to make sure that it doesn't change at all. So I like my products, and I think as consumer you must do the same too. When the product change, do not freak out. When the product colors slightly become darker, it is fine, because it's natural. It's only natural to be imperfect. Perfection is a byproduct of modern society. They expect everything to stay basically the same. So yeah, I think you have to relook, especially the use of, like, for example, like all the ingredients that I mentioned earlier, and also perfume. They did a study quite a number of years ago. I think that was done in 2004. Let me read from it. Okay, 2 major labs in the US. They took the umbilical cord blood of 10 newborn babies born in the US hospital in August and September in 2004. And of the more than 400 chemicals, they take this is babies' umbilical cord blood, as soon as they are born, right? They took out and they test the blood, okay, and they found 400 types of chemicals in the blood of the umbilical cord, and 287 were detected, and out of this, 180 of the 287 detected actually have the ability to cause cancer, in human, and these are babies' blood. So it shows that whatever the mother use on their body, the cream that they apply on their skin, on their tummy, of course the food, the preservative in the food and all that, will have a strong effect on babies. That's why it's becoming more and more common nowadays to hear baby born with a lot of problems. Eczema is becoming so common with infants nowadays compared to before. When I remember when I was growing up, you rarely hear children having eczema. Now it's like 1 of every 3 children are born with one kind of skin problem compared to in the early days. Okay, this other ingredient is extremely popular, especially with toothpaste, those antibacterial toothpaste, is called Triclosan or triclocarban. Maybe especially now because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of people are very scared about the virus, the bacteria, and all that. So they always use a lot of sanitizers. So triclosan and triclocarban is a very common ingredient. It's actually registered in 1965 as a pesticide. In the US, it's still registered as a pesticide, but it is also a very good ingredient as a bactericide, and is very common in toothpaste, deodorant, antibacterial soap, and scary enough, it's actually been linked to a lot of other problems such as heart disease, heart failure, and the study is becoming stronger and stronger. Triclosan have been shown to interfere with muscle function. A study done in the University of California, Davis shows that even though it's done in mice and not in human, it shows that it have an effect on the cardiac function. And there have been some paper published on the effect of triclosan on hormone regulation. I mean, it is interesting, like to look at, considering with all the modernity that we have, all the research that we have, all the study that we have, is still amazing to see the number of cancer patients grows every year, the number of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, especially cancer that have to do with hormones. Something is not right. I personally believe this has a lot to do with our lifestyle, the food that we take, a lot to do with the personal care that we use on the skin and all that. So yeah. Okay, so unfortunately there's too much information out there. I think sometimes people ask, how do you simplify things? How do you want to know that the product you buy is real? Of course, you can look at the ingredient one by one, which is very time consuming and it's a lot to learn, a lot to study. But there are certain rules that I always tell people that you can look up for. How to look up for synthetic product. One, very long shelf life. If you have a product on your shelf, and you open it and 3 years you completely forgot about it and it's exactly perfect, throw it out, because that product will have, I can guarantee you, will have a lot of chemical preservative, a lot of chemical stabilizers and all that, So if the product smell have changed, the color have changed, then yeah, that is more natural. Of course, if you don't like it, then still throw it out, but at least you know that next time you can buy something that, oxidized. That is a natural. It's a natural thing. And then the other thing when it comes to natural product is a synthetic product, you have to usually, if you can see, the color usually is either one color, monocolors. It is not pearl, pink, green, orange, neon light and all that. Anything that have a lot of colors in it, I can assure you are mostly synthetic product. Right, they have to use that because also natural. Of course, there are natural colors in the manufacturing in the market, but a lot of manufacturers do not like to use natural colors because natural colors, like anything natural, tend to oxidize. So if you have something that is like, for example, you can get purple from indigo. Or red from tomatoes, or even from other plant with strong pigment. One, the price is so much higher, which most manufacturers do not want to pay. Second, is also not very stable. So the product will slowly, over the time, the color would change. So that's why if the product that you see on the shelf and they claim it's natural and has a lot of colors in it, forget it. It's most probably not natural product. And also know your fragrance. Okay, there's no such thing as natural apple smell or natural aqua smell or natural strawberry, or most fruits like peach, mango and all that. Essential oils are, yes, have a much better chances of it to be natural, like essential oil from lemon, from lime, essential oil from jasmine or rose, or essential oil from lavender. These are, if you can find the essential oil, then there's a big chance that the product, if they claim natural, that it most probably will use essential oil like orange blossom, things like that. But if you can't find the essential oil, like you will never find apple essential oil because it doesn't exist, or strawberry essential oil, So when you are not able to find the essential oil, then the chances of the product to be synthetic is extremely high, or actually using synthetic perfume is extremely high. And also natural products generally are not perfect. Batch to batch there is a bit of change in color, change of smell, and it would deteriorate, it would oxidize in time. So it is a small price to pay because we, as modern consumer nowadays, we want everything to be perfect. But I think at what cost is if you are so obsessed with perfection that you are willing to actually expose yourself to a lot of these chemicals into your body, or you can give up a bit of your quest for perfection and use more natural kind of product. The good thing about us is that in Remedy store, we have gone through every single product that are sold here. We make sure that the products are safe, as natural as possible, without all the ingredients that I mentioned earlier. Thank you very much.